My name is Kara Mitchell, and I'm 32 years old. If you'd met me a year ago, you'd probably have described me as the reliable one. The girl who shows up early, stays late, keeps the shop running, and never complains. Diesel under my fingernails, hair in a messy bun because there's no point in doing it up when you spend your days under trucks and semis. I've been a diesel mechanic for 9 years now. Started as the token girl in a trade school class full of guys who thought I'd quit in a week. I didn't. I outlasted most of them. Got hired at Henderson's Auto and Diesel, worked my way up from sweeping floors and changing oil to running my own bay. Now I'm the one they call when a fleet truck makes a sound nobody can quite place. The low, ugly grind that screams, "If you ignore me, I'll die on the highway." I like that. Machines are honest. They tell you what's wrong if you know how to listen. People, not so much. Money-wise, I do okay. I clear decent income, overtime when I want it. I own my truck outright. I'm 3 years into a 15-year mortgage on a small two-bedroom apartment in a boring but safe neighborhood. All mine. My dad had this rule: own your stuff before you let anyone move into your life. He learned that the hard way in his first divorce. Lost the house, the boat, and half his pension. I watched him rebuild from scratch in his 50s, hands shaking as he signed for a cheap rental and a used pickup. I promised myself I'd never start from zero like that. So when I met Ethan, I kept things separate. We met at a friend's birthday party 3.5 years ago. I showed up straight from work, still in my Henderson's hoodie and boots, smelling faintly like motor oil and brake cleaner. He walked in later, all pressed shirt, perfect hair, and that real estate agent smile you could probably see from space. He sold houses, the nice kind, open concept kitchens, quartz countertops, everything staged with fake plants and soft jazz in the background. He smelled like expensive cologne and success. I remember thinking, he's out of my league. I'm a grease monkey with calloused hands and a coffee addiction. He's the guy in the photos with perfect lighting and champagne flutes. But he laughed at my jokes, asked real questions, didn't flinch when I said I was a diesel mechanic. If anything, he seemed impressed. "That's actually kinda hot," he'd said, half joking. "You can fix things. Most people can't fix anything anymore." The first year was good, really good. We did breakfasts at diners on Sundays when I had mornings off. We went on hikes when my schedule allowed it. We binged crime shows on his couch while he critiqued the houses and I critiqued the cars. He didn't seem embarrassed to show up places with me in work boots and hoodies. He'd say he liked that I actually did something real with my hands. Later, I'd replay how he said it, like I was a novelty. Cute. A story he could tell at parties. 6 months after he proposed, things shifted. It started small. Comments about my truck not being a real daily driver. Casual comparisons to his coworkers' cars. "Logan just bought a Tesla. It's so smooth. You'd love it," he'd say, glancing at my truck like it was a dinosaur. Or, "My clients don't really picture a mechanic when they think of my fiancé. It's interesting." When we started planning the wedding, I learned there were different definitions of the word budget. I thought budget meant, we'll make something beautiful with what we reasonably have. Ethan thought budget meant, we'll say a number out loud, then ignore it completely. He wanted everything: lakeside venue, designer suit, live band, artisan cocktails, fireworks, the whole Pinterest board. He had this vision of drone footage over water, us kissing on a pier while everyone clapped. I suggested something smaller. "What about a backyard wedding?" I'd said one night, scrolling through prices, heart creeping into my throat. "Fairy lights, good food, your aunt's huge yard." He'd made a face. "Kara, I work in real estate. People know me. I can't invite clients and coworkers to a backyard barbecue and call it a wedding." Translation: I wasn't enough of an aesthetic. We argued. He said I didn't care about his dream day. I pointed out that his dream day cost more than my truck. We landed on a number, $28,000. He said it like it was nothing. I said it like I'd just agreed to donate a kidney. We agreed he'd cover decor and his suit, and I'd cover the bigger line items: venue deposit, band, photographer, catering. Because, as he put it, you've got the steady overtime. Commissions are unpredictable right now. I love how that translated into, you pay. My savings took a hit. Mortgage still had to be paid. Groceries, utilities, my own existence. They didn't disappear just because we decided to throw a party with cake. So I picked up a side hustle. DoorDash. Yeah, I know. A diesel mechanic delivering takeout in the evenings to pay for her fiancé's dream wedding. The irony wasn't lost on me. My coworker and best friend Garrett nearly choked on his coffee when I told him. "You're DoorDashing?" he said, wiping his mouth. "You, after fixing engines all day?" "Wedding's expensive," I shrugged. "Money doesn't print itself." He snorted. "You're delivering cold fries with hands that could rebuild a transmission blindfolded. And you're using your truck?" I said, rolling my eyes. "Relax. I switched to Ethan's Civic. Better mileage." When I told Ethan I was using his little blue Honda, he'd smiled and kissed my forehead. "You're amazing, you know that?" he said. "Doing all this for us." For us, right. At first, he texted me goodnight when I was out, sent little heart emojis, asked if I was safe, told me to come home soon. Around month 2, something shifted. The goodnight text stopped. The "you're amazing" turned into, "you're never around lately." I wanted to scream, "I'm never around because I'm working extra to pay for your 200 guest Instagram moment." Instead, I said, "It'll calm down once we catch up on deposits." He started going to networking drinks and client dinners more often. New shirts, new shoes, colognes I'd never smelled before. His phone became another limb. Face down on the table, notifications off. He'd laugh at something for a few seconds, then, when I'd ask, "What's funny?" he'd lock the screen and say, "Just work stuff." There was the night he came home at 2:00 a.m., looking rumpled and wired. "Car trouble," he'd said. Sabrina's car broke down on the highway, so I stayed with her until the tow truck came. Sabrina. I'd heard her name before, one of the other agents at his brokerage. Married. Kids. "Highway smells like perfume now," I'd muttered. Because he did. Not mine. Something floral and sugary. He'd kissed my cheek. "Don't start, Kara. You know how you get." How I get. Like catching the scent of someone else on your fiancé is a character flaw. I swallowed it. Went to work the next morning like a zombie. Garrett watched me pick at a sandwich during lunch and shook his head. "He's seeing someone else," he said flatly. I almost threw my wrench at him. "Don't start, Garrett. You don't know him." "I know men," he said, "and I know when someone's taking too much and giving nothing back. He's letting you work yourself into the ground while he plays dress up and stays out all night. Come on." I told him to mind his business. He held up his hands. "Fine, but when you find out, don't say I didn't warn you." 2 weeks later, I was staring at my phone in the parking lot of a burger joint, and my stomach dropped through the floor. It was a Thursday in late November, cold enough that your breath came out in little ghosts. I'd finished my shift at the shop around 6, grabbed a quick bite, then logged into DoorDash around 7:30. Orders were steady. Burgers, tacos, late-night milkshakes. At 11:40 p.m., I got a ping. Pick up from a burger place on the west side. Order name, E. Woods. Total, 43 big order. Good tip. The address loaded, and a chill skated down my spine. Sunset Motel, Route 12. The Sunset Motel was the kind of place that showed up in true crime podcasts. Peeling paint, flickering neon vacancy sign, parking lot cratered with potholes. I'd driven past it 100 times. Always thought, who actually stays there? Apparently, people with secrets. My brain tried to soothe me. It's just a coincidence. You get random addresses all the time. It's just a motel. You'll drop the food and leave. Still, I hesitated for a solid 10 seconds before I hit navigate. 15 minutes later, I pulled into the lot. My headlights swept across the row of cars, and that's when I saw it. The blue Civic. Ethan's Civic? Same dent on the rear bumper from when someone backed into him at the grocery store. I parked 2 spaces over and just stared. My brain started doing gymnastics. Maybe he lent it to someone. Maybe Sabrina borrowed it. Maybe it's a different Civic. Same shade of blue. Same sticker on the back window. Same license plate. My fingers tightened around the steering wheel until the leather bit into my palms. Room number on the app. 7. Lights on. Shadows moving behind the curtains. Music, low and slow. I grabbed the paper bag, the smell of fries and grease hitting me like a wall, and stepped out. My boots crunched on loose gravel. Then I heard it. His laugh, Ethan's laugh, muffled behind the door, followed by a lighter, higher one. A woman's. I should have turned around. I should have walked away, but my feet carried me forward. I knocked. The door opened halfway. Ethan stood there in my gray Henderson's auto and diesel hoodie. Bare legs, messy hair, eyes going from casual to horrified in less than a second. "Kara," he croaked. From somewhere inside the room, a woman's voice called, breezy and annoyed. "Baby, hurry up, I'm starving." Time slowed. Behind him, I saw the bed, unmade, sheets twisted, a bottle of cheap bubbly on the nightstand, 2 glasses, clothes on the chair, his shirt, a dress that wasn't mine. And on the dresser, like some sick joke, was our engagement photo in its white frame, face down. He'd brought our picture to a motel. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I didn't throw the bag in his face, even though my hands were shaking so hard the paper crinkled. I just held it out to him. "Your order," I said, my voice sounding like it belonged to someone else. "Enjoy your meal." "Kara, wait, this isn't," he started, reaching out. I stepped back. His fingers brushed air. For a split second, our eyes locked. I saw panic, guilt, a flash of anger that I'd caught him instead of the other way around. Then I turned, walked back to the Civic, and climbed in as calmly as my shaking legs would allow. In the rearview mirror, I saw him step out into the cold in my hoodie, bare feet on cracked pavement. A woman, Sabrina, I assumed, appeared behind him wearing a hotel robe, peeking past his shoulder. I put the car in drive and pulled away. I don't remember the first 10 minutes of that drive. I came back to myself in a grocery store parking lot, gripping the steering wheel so tightly my knuckles hurt. My phone buzzed over and over. Ethan. Unknown numbers. Voicemails. Texts popping up one after another like a slot machine. I let it ring. By 1:30 a.m., I was at my apartment, the one with my name on the mortgage. Our door looked exactly the same as when I'd left. Same welcome mat, same wreath Ethan's mom insisted we hang. Inside, everything screamed us. Our couch, our photos, his shoes by the door. I stood there for a long moment, keys in my hand, listening to the hollow roar in my ears. Then something in me clicked. I grabbed a trash bag. I didn't cry. Not yet. I moved. Shirts, pants, socks, his favorite cologne, the watch I'd given him last Christmas, the cufflinks he'd bought for the wedding. Every piece of him went into black plastic. By 3:00 a.m., 4 bulging bags sat lined up by the door like dead weight. I pulled out my phone and Googled 24-hour locksmith near me. The guy showed up around 4:15, hair messy, eyes still half asleep. "Rough night?" he asked, kneeling by the lock. "You have no idea," I replied. He changed the locks in silence. I paid him. $200. The first money I'd spent in hours that felt like it actually protected me. When he left, dawn was starting to gray the sky. My phone was a graveyard of missed calls and messages. I walked to the kitchen table, opened my laptop, and started a new folder on my desktop. I titled it, Ethan, Wedding, Evidence, Receipts, Screenshots, Venmo histories, contracts, every dollar I'd poured into this wedding, every scrap of proof that I was the one paying while he played house with someone else in a motel. My hands finally stopped shaking as I typed. If this was going to turn into a war, I decided, I wasn't going to fight it screaming in a parking lot. I was going to fight it with documentation. And this time, I wasn't the one who was going to lose everything. By the time the sun actually crawled over the horizon, my desktop folder wasn't just titled Ethan, Wedding, Evidence. It was full. Venue deposit, $3,500 from my account. Photographer, $2,200. Catering deposit, $8,000. Band, $1,500. Dress, mine. Shoes, mine. Every receipt I opened was like a brick I'd handed him to build the life he'd been secretly living with someone else. I screenshotted bank transfers, Venmo notes where he'd sent me half for rent in the early months. The cute little comments flashed by. Got it, babe. Thanks, love. Then, 8 months ago, they just stopped. No more transfers. No more babe. Just me covering the full rent on autopay like an idiot because I trusted him. The longer I scrolled back through transactions, the colder I felt. I wasn't just heartbroken. I was being robbed. At 9:03 a.m., my doorbell notification chimed on my phone. I opened the app. There he was, Ethan. Standing at my door, hair gelled now, wearing jeans and that stupid navy jacket. He tried his key. It didn't work. He tried again, jiggled the handle, stepped back, frowning. Then he rang the bell. Once. Twice. Again, harder. Watching from my phone screen in the break room at the shop a little later, I felt nothing. No urge to let him in, no urge to listen. He deserved that lock clicking uselessly. He called me 17 times between 9 and 10. I let each one buzz out until my voicemail filled. Texts piled in. Ethan, why did you change the locks? Ethan, Kara, what is going on? Ethan, we need to talk. This is childish. I waited, then finally replied, Me, your stuff's in the hallway. Building manager has it. There was a long pause, then, Ethan, are you serious right now? Ethan, whatever you think you saw, it's not what it looked like. Ethan, Kara, you're overreacting. I stared at the words and felt something ugly and sharp rise in my chest. Overreacting. I took a screenshot of the DoorDash order. Sunset Motel, room 7, timestamp. Total. Order name, address. Me. You were in a motel room with another woman wearing my hoodie. I delivered your food. I'm reacting appropriately. 3 dots appeared, then vanished. No response. I put my phone down, took a breath, and did something that felt oddly like hiring a hitman. I called a lawyer. My dad had mentioned a guy once during his divorce, Bill Kowalski. Said he was the only attorney who didn't try to bleed him dry. Bill's office was in one of those sad-looking strip malls between a nail salon and a tax place. I sat in my truck, staring at the faded sign that just said Kowalski Law, and wondered when, exactly, my life had taken this turn. Inside, Bill looked exactly like somebody who had seen every disaster people could bring him. Late 60s, glasses, tie slightly crooked, a coffee mug that said World's Okayest Lawyer. So, he said after I laid it all out, motel, hoodie, engagement photo, wedding expenses, the doorbell footage of him locked out. You planning to marry this guy? Not anymore, I said. Good, he replied, without missing a beat. Do you have proof? I saw him, I said. I saw her. I have the DoorDash order with the room number and time. Bill shook his head. That's your word against his unless you use it properly. Screenshots. Save everything. What else? I pulled out my laptop, turned it so he could see. Wedding account is in my name. I've paid most of the big stuff. He covered some decor, and he hasn't paid rent in 8 months. Bill's eyebrows climbed. Can you prove that? I clicked through my bank statements. There they were. Months and months of rent splits, my Venmo request going to him, his transfers coming back with cutesy notes. Then, mid-spring, nothing. Just my full payment hitting the apartment complex every month. He just stopped, I said, hearing my own voice go small. He said things were tight with commissions. I didn't want to pressure him. Bill made a sound that was half snort, half weary laugh. Print all of that, every statement, every Venmo receipt with his name on it, every one he stopped sending. You think I need it for what? I asked. For whatever happens next, he said. If he tries to spin this, if he claims you kicked him out for no reason and he contributed just as much. If there's any financial dispute from this mess, you're going to want a solid paper trail. I swallowed. And what if he just walks away? Bill shrugged. Best case, he sulks, trashes you to his friends, and disappears. Worst case, he harasses you, smears you, maybe even tries to claim you owe him something. People don't like consequences. You're here because your gut says he's not going quietly. My gut screamed he was right. Before I left, Bill looked at me over his glasses. Don't engage, he said. No phone calls, no long text arguments. If it's important, screenshot it and send it to me. Let me be the bad guy. My phone buzzed as if on cue. Another text from Ethan. Ethan, please, can we just talk like adults? I put the phone face down. Garrett showed up at the shop around lunch with 2 coffees and a breakfast sandwich I hadn't asked for. You look like someone ran you over with your own truck, he said, plopping himself on a stool. I've had better nights, I muttered. He listened. For once, he didn't crack jokes while I told him about the motel, the hoodie, the photo on the dresser. He just sat there, jaw tight, eyes getting darker with each detail. When I finished, he exhaled slowly. So what's the plan? He asked. I changed the locks, I said. Got a lawyer. I'm canceling the wedding. I'm done. Garrett nodded approvingly. Good start. But you know he's going to spin this, right? Guys like that don't go around telling people, hey, I blew up my life because I can't keep it in my pants. They say, she went crazy and kicked me out. He wasn't wrong. By noon, the texts started. Not from Ethan. From people I barely knew. Unknown. Hey, it's Jess. I work with Ethan. He's really upset. He says you locked him out. Is everything okay? Unknown 2. This is Melissa from Ethan's office. He said you changed the locks and canceled the wedding over a misunderstanding. He's devastated. Maybe you should talk? Unknown 3. I don't know what happened, but punishing someone like this is cruel. Everyone makes mistakes. Everyone makes mistakes. That one made my vision blur. Garrett watched my hands shake as I read. There it is, he said. Villain origin story, starring you. I didn't do anything wrong, I said, the words coming out tighter than I meant. I literally caught him cheating on me while I was delivering food to pay for our wedding. Doesn't matter what you did, Garrett said. Matters what he tells people you did. Another text came in, this time from his mom. Ethan's mom. Kara. He's been crying all morning. Whatever happened, please don't throw away your future over one bad night. Talk to him. He loves you. Loves. A laugh burst out of me, sharp and humorless. A bad night. That's what it was now. I typed, stared, deleted. My thumb hovered over the keyboard before I finally locked the phone and shoved it in my pocket. You okay? Garrett asked quietly. No, I said, but I will be. That afternoon, on my 15-minute break, I called the venue. Hi, this is Kara Mitchell. I need to cancel our booking for May 21st. The woman on the other end sounded sympathetic. I'm so sorry. Is everything okay? Our wedding is off, I said, the words heavy and strangely freeing at the same time. We won't be needing the space. She walked me through the contract. No refund on the deposit. I hung up $6,000 poorer between that and non-refundable vendor fees. The photographer surprised me, though. When I told her why I needed to cancel, she was quiet for a moment. My ex cheated on me right before our date, she said finally. I know that feeling. I'll refund half your deposit. My throat tightened. Thank you. Don't thank me, she replied. Thank yourself for not marrying him. I canceled the band, the caterer, the florist. Each call felt like peeling away a layer of skin that had never fit me right. By the time I got home that night, my kitchen table looked like a crime board. Contracts, statements, names circled in red, Ethan's handwriting on sticky notes, lists of songs he wanted the band to learn. I picked one up. First dance. Perfect, I snorted. Perfect. Sure. My phone buzzed again. This time, Ethan. Ethan. Kara, I'm outside the shop. Can we please talk? I opened the doorbell app. There he was again, standing on the sidewalk, shoving his hands in his pockets like a kid about to get grounded. I didn't answer, didn't go out. Instead, I texted, me. Do not come to my job again. If you need something, talk to my lawyer. 3 dots. Then, Ethan, a lawyer? Seriously? You're blowing this out of proportion. We had a rough patch, that's all. You didn't have to change the locks and cancel everything. You're being dramatic. There it was again. Dramatic. Overreacting. Childish. Suddenly, the ache in my chest shifted into something sharper. For years, he'd complimented me on being rational, calm, grounded. Now that I'd finally taken action that didn't benefit him, I was hysterical. I took a breath and typed, me, you cheated on me. Repeatedly. While I was working extra jobs to pay for a wedding you wanted. That's not a rough patch. That's who you are. He didn't respond. For a moment, the silence felt like a win. Then my phone lit up again. This time with a group chat I didn't even remember agreeing to be in. Some mix of his friends and coworkers. Random guy. Kara. He said you're punishing him instead of working it out. That's messed up. Someone else. He told us you're refusing to even listen. Everyone makes mistakes. Everyone. I stared at the last message Nate, one of his buddies from college, had sent in that chat months ago. Nate. Dude, Sabrina's gonna get you in trouble one day. At the time, I hadn't thought much of it. Just office teasing. Now the letters blurred. Sabrina. My fingers moved before I could talk myself out of it. I opened my laptop, found her name in the brokerage's staff list, pulled up her smiling headshot. Sleek dark hair, white blazer, arms folded in front of a luxury home. Married. I remembered Ethan mentioning it once in passing. Her husband works in finance, he'd said. They're like a power couple. I stared at her photo, something cold and patient, settling into my bones. First, I'd protected my house. Then, my money. Now I was going to protect something else. My side of the story. Because if Ethan wanted to rewrite me as the villain in his narrative, I was going to make sure there was a record, somewhere, somehow, that said otherwise. I closed the laptop, rubbed my eyes, and leaned back in the chair. This wasn't over. But for the first time since that motel door opened, I felt the faintest flicker of control. By the next morning, something in me had settled into a cold, steady clarity. I wasn't going to scream, or beg, or publicly expose Ethan in some messy social media spectacle. That's what he expected. That's what cheaters always expect. Chaos, tears, desperation. Instead, I opened my laptop, made coffee, and started digging. First, our shared Google Photos account. Ethan and I had used it to back up pictures from trips, date nights, family gatherings. Nothing malicious, just convenience. I hadn't opened it since before wedding planning consumed every spare moment I had. Now I clicked into it with purpose. At the top of the screen, photos only you can see. I froze. Ethan had put some pictures in a private folder. My pulse thundered in my ears as I clicked. There she was, Sabrina, in a black dress at some hotel bar, in workout clothes, taking a mirror selfie in a gym that definitely wasn't ours. lying on a hotel bed, taking a picture of her legs with a caption, "Best weekend ever." Date, 4 months ago. My throat closed. 4 months. This wasn't a one-time mistake. This was a second relationship. Weekend trips, dinner reservations, nighttime skyline photos. Another one. Love this man. My hand shook as I clicked download on every single one. Then another shock hit me. The little info icon showed GPS location tags. Several photos were taken in cities neither Ethan nor I had visited, not for work, not for vacation. So he'd lied about work travel too. Good. Great. Every lie was another receipt. I pulled them all into a folder. Then I removed his access to the account. Not petty. Strategic. 2 hours later, as if right on cue, a text flashed across my screen. "Ethan, why can't I see the photo library? Did you change something?" I didn't answer. I didn't have to. That afternoon, I heard from someone completely unexpected. A new number texted me. Unknown. "Hi, is this Kara? My name is Caleb. I'm Sabrina's husband." I stared at the message until the letters blurred. Her husband. Her husband. The message continued. "Caleb, I'm sorry to reach out like this, but I think we need to talk. Can we speak on the phone?" "No, absolutely not." But I typed, "Me, about what?" 3 dots, then, "Caleb, I think my wife is having an affair with your fiancé." I sat very, very still. The universe had just handed me a loaded weapon. Me. "She is." "Caleb, do you have proof?" Me. "Too much." "Caleb, can we exchange info?" I hesitated. Bill's voice echoed in my head. "Gather evidence, but don't engage emotionally." So I kept it cold. Me. "I'm forwarding everything to my lawyer. You're welcome to do the same." He sent a thumbs up emoji. Then, "Caleb, thank you. I'm really sorry." Sorry. That small word hit differently coming from someone blindsided by the same 2 people. I sent the pictures, the dates, screenshots, captions. Within minutes, he replied, "Caleb, I had no idea. She told me she was doing team building weekends. I feel sick." Me. "I get it." "Caleb, I'm so sorry you had to see that." Me. "You too." There was a pause. Then he sent something that chilled me. A screenshot of Ethan and Sabrina laughing together at a company event, arms around each other, posted on the brokerage's private employee group months ago. Caption: "Dream team, best chemistry in the office." Chemistry. Of course. Later that evening, Garrett showed up at my place carrying 2 massive burritos and 3 packets of hot sauce. He dropped everything on the counter. "Okay," he said. "On a scale of 1 to 10, how much do I need to bury a body?" I actually laughed, tired and hollow. "No body burying today, but you might want to hear this." I told him everything. Google photos, the private album, the hotel trips, and then Caleb's text. Garrett didn't speak for a full 10 seconds. Then he let out a slow whistle. "So not only was Ethan cheating," he said, "he was cheating with a married coworker, and her husband just found out?" "Pretty much." Garrett shook his head. "Kara, this isn't a breakup. This is going to be a full-blown explosion." "Oh, don't worry," I murmured. "I'm planning the exact location." By the end of the week, Ethan's version of events had reached Olympic levels of manipulation. He told his friends I lost my mind and overreacted, that we were just having a tough time and I threw away our future. He forgot to mention the motel, the other woman, the wedding I was paying for, and the fact that he'd apparently been taking romantic getaways with Sabrina while I delivered takeout to make up the deposits. Caleb texted me again. "Caleb, I confronted Sabrina. She denied everything until I showed the photos, then she admitted it. Caleb, I'm filing for divorce. Caleb, thank you, really." I stared at the phone for a long moment. These 2 had detonated 2 households and a wedding. Time to document it. That night, I opened a blank document and began compiling everything. Screenshots, receipts, timestamps, DoorDash order, motel address, Google Photos images, Sabrina's texts, Ethan's call logs, the Venmo rent drop-off. I attached explanations, dates, and summaries. When I was done, I saved the file as The Truth About November 28th by Kara Mitchell. It was 48 pages long. I read it twice, then I sent it to one person. Ethan's mom. No message, just the PDF. 30 minutes later, my phone began melting down. First came his mom, Ethan's mom, Kara. I had no idea. I'm so sorry. Ethan's mom. He lied to all of us. Ethan's mom. Please don't think we believed him over you. I am horrified. Then his sister. Ethan's sister. Oh my God. Oh my God. I'm shaking. I'm so sorry. Ethan's sister. He told us you kicked him out because you were stressed. Then Ethan. Ethan. What the hell is wrong with you? Ethan. Why would you send that to my mom? Ethan. You just destroyed my life. My fingers hovered, then typed the simplest truth. Me. No, me. You did that yourself. Then I blocked his number. The fallout was instant. Garrett burst into the shop the next morning, waving his phone like he'd found buried treasure. Dude, you started Armageddon. What happened? He grinned, chest heaving from running. So, apparently Caleb, our lovely new friend, showed up at Ethan and Sabrina's office this morning with a folder. Then his wife came too, at the same time. His wife? I echoed. She found out when Caleb forwarded her the pictures, he said. She walked into the brokerage, went straight to Sabrina's desk and said, and I quote, "Smile for the camera, sweetheart. Now everyone can see what you really are." Then she slammed the prints down. My jaw dropped. No. Yes, he said, delighted. And Ethan was there, standing there looking like someone unplugged his brain. Oh my God. Garrett wasn't done. Sabrina got suspended pending investigation. Ethan got pulled into HR for a conversation about workplace ethics. The whole office knows. They're calling it the Thanksgiving affair. I pressed a hand to my forehead. I didn't mean for... Kara, Garrett cut in. You didn't do anything except tell the truth. The consequences? That's all them. I didn't feel triumphant. I didn't feel guilty either. I just felt tired. But then Garrett added softly, You protected yourself. That's something to be proud of. I exhaled and nodded. For the first time since the motel door swung open, I felt like I wasn't drowning anymore. But Ethan, he was just beginning to sink. For a little while, everything went eerily quiet. Too quiet. I should have known that meant Ethan was regrouping. The drive-bys started first. 3 days after the PDF blast, I was tightening bolts under a truck when Garrett tapped my boot. Don't freak out, he murmured. But your ex just drove by. Slow, like creepy slow. I slid out on the creeper, grease smeared on my cheek, heart suddenly thumping in my throat. What do you mean slow? Garrett crossed his arms. Like 5 miles an hour? Like he was watching the shop. I blinked at him. Maybe he just drove past... Garrett cut me off. Kara, he circled the block. Twice. My stomach nodded. Maybe he wanted to talk, I said. Garrett shook his head. No, he's not here to talk. He's here to see how screwed his life is, and he blames you. Then came the calls. At first, I didn't answer unknown numbers. Everyone at the shop knew to text me first. But one day, I was expecting a call from a parts supplier, so I picked up. Kara, a voice breathed. I froze. Ethan. I hung up immediately. The next day, 3 more calls, then 5, then 8. Sometimes he'd speak. Sometimes I'd answer and hear nothing but breathing, sometimes muffled crying, sometimes anger. Ethan, you ruined everything. Ethan, everyone thinks I'm a monster because of you. Ethan, you didn't have to tell my mom. Ethan, I was going to come clean eventually. Ethan, why are you doing this to me? Every message was a contradiction. Rage, sorrow, guilt, denial, self-pity, swirling into something unhinged. I blocked number after number. He kept finding new ones. Bill told me, document everything, don't respond. So I did. Screenshots, call logs, voicemails, each one another brick in the wall I was building between us. Social media meltdown. He couldn't message me. I blocked him everywhere, but he found another way to lash out. He started posting cryptic things online. Ethan's status. When someone destroys your life out of spite, remember this. Cheaters exist because relationships fail. Forgiveness matters. His friends commented, Stay strong, King. She didn't deserve you anyway. Some people just want to burn everything down. Garrett, of course, screenshotted everything and texted it to me. Garrett, bro, he's out here acting like you cheated on him. I didn't reply publicly. Didn't defend myself. Didn't engage. Bill's rule echoed through my mind. Silence is power. So I kept mine. The night everything turned. 3 weeks after the truth. About November 28th detonated, I was closing up the shop. Garrett had already left. The air was cold, the parking lot quiet. I locked the bay doors, turned toward my truck. Footsteps behind me. I spun. Ethan stood 10 feet away, under the street lamp, looking wrong. Thinner, eyes red, hair messy. A frantic energy rolled off him like heat. We need to talk, he said. My pulse spiked. No, I said immediately. We don't. He stepped closer. I stepped back. You can't keep ignoring me, he said, voice shaking. You can't just erase someone like they never existed. You erased us, I said. I just took out the trash. He flinched, then laughed. Not a normal laugh, not even close. A sharp, bitter, cracked sound that made every instinct in me scream danger. "You think you're so righteous," he hissed, "so perfect. But you're just a mechanic, a nobody. You always were." And there it was. The truth that had been buried under proposals, pretty words, and Instagrammable moments. He never saw me as equal. He saw me as convenient. I pulled out my phone, hit record, and held it up. His eyes widened. "What are you doing?" "Protecting myself," I said. "Leave, Ethan, now." His jaw clenched. His eyes darted. He looked like a man whose last safety net had been cut loose. "You did this," he whispered. "You ruined everything. This isn't over." He backed away, slow at first, then turned and hurried to his car. I kept recording until his taillights disappeared. Then my hands shook so badly I had to lean against the truck. I sent the video to Bill. He called me within seconds. "File for a restraining order. Tomorrow morning." "Isn't that—" "No," he cut in. "Kara, listen to me. This is escalating. He's stalking you, harassing you, showing up at your job, making threats. You need legal protection before this gets worse." The fear I'd been holding at arm's length finally cracked through. "I'll go first thing," I whispered. "Good," Bill said. "And Kara?" "Yeah? You're doing the right thing." The restraining order. The courthouse was cold and gray, filled with people trying to hold themselves together. I wasn't the first betrayed partner to stand at that counter. I wouldn't be the last. I handed over the video, screenshots, harassing calls, doorbell footage, notes from co-workers, evidence of drive-bys. The judge approved it in minutes. 500 feet. No contact. No third-party contact. Violation means arrest. 2 days later, Ethan was served. That night, his brother called me. Not to yell, to apologize. "I didn't believe you at first," he said, voice heavy. "But I've been letting him stay with me since Sabrina got suspended, and he's not good, Kara. He's spiraling. He sits in his car outside your shop, talks about fixing things with you. He's obsessed." I closed my eyes. "I'm sorry," I said softly. "I never wanted it to get this far." "I know," he murmured. Thank you for getting a restraining order. Maybe it'll force him to get help." Maybe. Or maybe it would just force him to stay away. Either way, I wasn't his responsibility anymore. The quiet after the storm. For several weeks, there was nothing. No calls, no drive-bys, no social media posts. Just silence. The shop stayed busy. Old man Henderson finalized the sale agreement. I signed the papers and became the owner of Henderson's Auto and Diesel. Yes, the name stays. Garrett insisted. We hired a new kid straight out of trade school. Danny, eager and bright with an oil-smudged smile. Life felt normal again. Then, 3 months after the motel, it happened. The gas station goodbye. I was filling my truck with gas on a quiet evening. The sky was pink and fading. A car pulled up 2 pumps over. I didn't look up until I heard my name. Kara. My chest tightened. Ethan. He looked different. Smaller. Hollow. Like someone had drained the color from him. "I just wanted to say, I'm sorry," he said. The words felt strangely heavy coming from him, but they didn't hit me the way I expected. No rush of vindication, no ache, just quiet. "I hope you figure things out," I said gently. "I really do. But I'm not part of that process." He nodded, eyes glassy. "I know." I finished filling my tank, closed the cap, got in my truck. He opened his mouth, maybe to say something else, but I didn't wait to hear it. I put the truck in drive and pulled away. I didn't look in the mirror. I didn't need to. Some stories end with fireworks. Some end with screaming. Mine ended with the simple click of a gas pump returning to its cradle. Epilogue. What I learned. Driving home that night, windows down, engine humming beneath me, I realized something. Walking away isn't weakness. It's choosing yourself. It's trusting the truth over the lies someone else tries to feed you. It's closing a chapter without letting it burn you alive. And sometimes justice doesn't look like revenge. It looks like surviving, like healing, like building something new, this time with your own hands.